to collaborate, we use GitHub mostly. So we open up, like what's a whole process? So we are in like Agile. Are you familiar with that? Like Scrum. So it's basically a way of software development, like a philosophy. You have like these 2-week increments where everyone has to build 2 weeks. Every 2 weeks you have to deliver something, and by the end of the quarter you have a product. So we have to plan all that, and so you have this like communication area where everyone knows what everyone's doing, and then you, for that sprint, work on your specific segment of like the code. And for AI, like, so there's different strategies that you can use for like GitHub Copilot and things like that. So you can write code faster, and then you push up PRs, like peer review, where people will then like pull down your code and actually analyze it. And now that we have AI, like GitHub Copilot, trying to review someone's code is a lot easier because it kind of explains, like, it can tell you the difference between the master branch and the new changes that are coming. You can see bugs faster. So that's kind of the process of how we use like AI in a, I guess, collaboration manner. Yeah.
Hi. How do you see AI growing and future?
Like from a developer perspective, or just like in a like daily?
Both.
Okay. Using so the trend that we're going in now is, we're actually already kind of in it, which is the agentic wave of AI, right? So that is allowing us to have these capabilities that are much more flexible. It can be very tailored to a user, depending on their preferences. So I think it's like turning very much into like assistance, like, and making your everyday life easier by synchronizing a lot of your information. Like, there is OpenClaw, I think, that just came out, and so it's like an integrator. It tries to integrate all of your like spaces, emails as an example, or WhatsApp, or things like that, and it can combine that information and like execute some type of task for you. So I think it's really becoming like personal assistant. And so that's maybe on like a personal level. And then from a developer standpoint, I think I think it's just getting much better at writing code. So creating code is becoming much cheaper. And so that kind of brings up the question of, like, do we even need to know how to write code anymore? But the answer is you still do, because it does, like, if you work with it enough, you'll notice it hits plateaus in certain areas. So it can't, like, for very complex tasks, it starts to go off track. Like, even if it's writing code, it's not really writing the code that you need for that particular task. But I'd say it helps automate a lot of things. Like, if you've ever written unit tests, like, I hate writing unit tests, and AI does it so well, because and you can use AI in these ways to apply these different kind of frameworks that were around for software development even before AI. And if you can navigate it to write code in a certain way, it does really well. So you can automate it to do all the things that you don't really care to do, all the simple tasks, while you focus more on the very complex tasks that require a lot more critical thinking skills, a lot more understanding of the problem, so that like, you can work on that for a couple of hours while you have the AI piece trying to generate something that's more simplistic. So I think that's kind of like that's how I see us kind of navigating in that direction.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
I guess, like, when you all are like working like, as a team, like if you have you're each working on your own segment, how do you go about, I guess, like planning or like problem solving? I guess for whatever task you have.
Yeah, that's a great question. So it's a whole the way I lead my teams is through all like Scrum ceremonies. So there is a point where everyone is planning out, like all like tech leads plan out what needs to be accomplished at like a high level, and then we break it down into like execution of like a units of work. And it's kind of like an art in a way. You have to like figure out what you need, but also like what are all the pieces that can be broken out, that can be spread across the team, and then making sure that everyone's collaborating to work together. But what was the original question? Sorry, like I'm kind of like.
I guess I guess I was asking kind of like if you have like a certain task or criteria or like someone wants you to meet or like a product, how do you go about like planning or like researching about that?
If it's something you're not sure of, like I have one engineer right now. We started this new project. The data structure is very new to us, and you have to have like a lot of business domain to like understand it, and we're trying to ramp up. And he's basically using AI to come up with like, given this data structure, provide me different ways of how I could like summarize some context for our user so that they have it like immediately. And that's a great way to use AI, because it's creative a little bit, and then it actually understands like that data structure that can be very complex, which would take a human a long time to understand, and like start brainstorming. So I think that's like one way you could use it that I've seen. Yeah.
You're talking about like getting your foot in the door and how like right now there's not a lot of junior positions available. From your perspective, like what's some advice that you have for people who do want to get those roles?
Yes.
Right
yes,
now.
Yes,
Yeah.
I totally feel that. My students ask me that question also, and like it's a double-edged sword. Well, not really. I mean, on one side it's a sword, and the other side it's not, because yes, it does. In all honesty, I think it has eliminated those junior level roles, which is really unfortunate, because I mean, how do you bring them into senior level roles? And so we're probably going to see a gap at some point. So there's that. But we also, the way like you'd have to learn code back in the day as opposed to now is so different. I think if you can use AI to learn code, it's going to be it's going to help you learn a lot faster. But also the way we write code and the way I think the interview processes are going to is going to change in that. I think right now it's still like, okay, write code and let me see how well you do. Whereas I think in a few years we'll see how are you using AI to write code more efficiently. Because at the end of the day, you want code to do something, and you want it to do it well. Whether it's you writing the code manually, or you're using tools to write it for you properly. I think that's the shift that we're going to start seeing. Because one example, like there is different techniques now that are out there, but if you use like Cursor, or you can even do this with GitHub Copilot. I continue to use GitHub Copilot in VS Code. But you can instruct it to have a certain behavior and keep an eye for certain coding principles that you want. You want to make sure that abstraction is still occurring, and you have the proper inheritance. You can list these things out, which is, in the software development world, it's called solid principles. I don't know if you guys have heard of that, but that you can keep it in its memory and make sure that it writes code against those principles. So you're going to actually get a higher quality code as you're building that out. And I think learning those strategies of how to use AI in that way is gonna be what companies look for when they're hiring software developers. Well, I mean software develop, but I'm sure there's other. I'm just talking about software development, but like if there's other job categories that you guys are, want to talk about, I was just using software development as an example. Yeah. Are there other like what subfields are you guys in?
And talking about majors or
Yeah, majors, like, or are you in like
I'm a
computer?
business student.
Okay,
Yeah, and then my concentration is management information systems.
okay. So like, what kind of roles are you looking for or interested in after?
Primarily business intelligence.
Okay.
And then another one is account manager because I think I can like maintain relationships well, do some business to business sales. That pretty interests me a lot. I do like marketing a lot as well. It's kind of what I do for the club. So
Okay.
yeah.
I think marketing is a great place, like how AI complements, I think, marketing well. I've been talking about AI like from a different lens, but even with like business intelligence, the thing about like these large language models is that like I think people are trying to use them for everything, which I don't think is necessary. I think you can use business logic rules and things when you need to, and use LLMs for completely different things. They're more for creativity, like creating, creative content, or some type of reasoning-like task. And I think that's where they excel at. So if you have like a bunch of documents and you're trying to find, gaps, or you're trying to find where there's like repetitive information, or trying to see like, okay, based on this, what are the shifts and trends that I need, that you can use like LLMs, large language models, AI, all of that in that way as well. How have you used it so far?
Well, with me, I don't do a lot of programming. I'm sure you guys do that, a lot of that. Primarily, I use it to recently I made a flyer, stuff like that for this club. Make a lot of the flyers with AI.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
then, what else? Recently, I gave it I was just for fun. I did a Google export and I was kind of like, what did these channels say about me? Like, what is my interest or
Oh,
whatever?
yes.
Just something fun.
Yeah,
And I was like, I gave it like all this data and then it chunked through it and it actually gave me like, here's a list. I'm like, that's cool. So it's just for fun.
It is, yeah, that is a great way to use it. We use, I don't know if you guys know of Slack. So there's we have, I don't even know how many channels, and I don't know how many threads, and just everything. And they have now Slackbot, which just I'm like, here's the channels, summarize what I need, and it just does such a great job. I feel like that's optimal AI right there. So just it's really good on those kinds of things. I think the challenge is when you're trying to now use it to do something a lot more complex. It's much more difficult. But that's cool that you use it like that. Yeah.
I use it for very random things.
I also I use Gemini a lot versus ChatGPT, and they have their nano models that do image generation, and that's also a lot of fun. So yeah. Yes.
You said Gemini was your favorite. Which one out of all the LLMs, like Claude, ChatGPT, Gemini 3.1 Pro, all those ones, what would you say is kind of your go-to? You're in a deserted island and you had one LLM to live with. Which one would you pick?
Well, so for my everyday, I would pick, I go for, Gemini has a bunch of models, and I think whatever you're entering in, it will decide which actual model it's using in the back end. But just Gemini in general is my go-to. I like it because I know that it has Google search as a tool in the background. So it's going to be like for a scientific purposes, like it's much more going to be, I think, more accurate because it's more objective because it has like the search in the background. Whereas, I don't know, I don't use ChatGPT as much. I used it earlier on because that's all that they had. But I don't know if you guys heard of the term psychophancy. Like it tends to like really agree with you no matter what, even if it's really bad. Last year they had to make a fix on that because it was getting pretty bad. Like it gets really dark. So that's one thing I don't love about it. Whereas the Gemini models will be a little bit better in that regard. Oh, yes?
What LM you recommend for learning how to code? Let's say I have some projects and I want to code with my projects, and then let's say I stuck with some code, and I cannot I can Google search what is a bunch of things. So normally I use GPT to help with this, or let's say if I use Databricks, I might use that AI assistant. So
Okay. Yeah.
Ask, which one gonna be the best one to.
Yeah. I think, like, I don't know, ChatGPT is not, I don't think, as good for coding.
Yeah.
It's very creative. So so I would use it for like creative tasks, but for coding, like, so I use the VS Code IDE, and I have GitHub Copilot. So it gives me access to like codecs. It gives me access to different, like a lot of different models. And so there's an auto function. So it will select probably the best model for the question that you have. But if you're trying to learn, I would definitely go with a VS Code editor, GitHub Copilot. I would get just the pro version. It's $10 a month, but like it's so worth it because you really do learn how to code really fast with that.
VS Code and Copilot.
GitHub Copilot, yeah.
Okay.
You'll hear of Cursor, which is AI native. One, your tokens that you get or you pay for go by like so quickly because it's using so many tokens, and it's generating things really fast, and it doesn't help you learn how to code, I think. It just does it for you mostly, which if you're trying to learn, I would stick with VS Code for sure. Yeah.
Because sometimes if I ask it specifically like what I code mean, they're gonna explain it. I use Databricks and like it have like the AI assistant.
Okay.
I'm not sure if it's the best way, but like, let's say I explain like where do you get it from?
Yeah.
Give me the reference. You're gonna explain this for me. So.
I think the way I would, if I were to teach, or if I wanted to learn how to write good code, I would use some tools. I think all of Mason's students have access to O'Reilly, and there's some really good textbooks that they have, that online textbooks that are easy to read on the principles of like coding. And so I would keep that on one side and then like try using those as you're coding, because even leaning on the AI generation, it's not always, it always doesn't give you the best like industry practice code. It just gives you something that it thinks is good enough. Yeah.
Because sometimes when I refer to the book, I know what book is talking about, but like let's say when I want to put that in practice, something that from the book I don't understand. Like let's say something that
I see.
That okay, it's okay. But like, let's say I don't know how to put that in practice.
Then I would use, if you don't know something, I would pop that code snippet in Gemini and just ask and it gives a better response for like an explanation.
You mean Colab book? Like Google Colab, let's say they have like the Gemini, or you want like the...
I just mean gemini.google.com. If you go on there, or,
Okay.
Not ChatGPT though. But yeah, yes.
So right now you're saying that like AI will have some speed bumps and stuff when producing code. what if in the next 5 years it is able to advance on its code? What's it going to be like then when it's actually producing the code we need?
So right now, actually, you can put it in like this like called like dangerous mode where it will just go like and it will just write code for hours.
Oh wow.
And that's like vibe coding to the max. But like I don't know. So there's that school of thought, and then there's the more, I guess, I don't know. I guess I'm more conservative in that I don't do that just because I'm like, I don't know, I don't trust it enough yet. But I think, okay, so say 5 years from now, it's like writing beautiful code and even for complex scenarios, it's still like, if you look at the actual inner workings of an LLM, there's no actual, like the way humans reason, it doesn't reason in that way. It only mimics reasoning, right? We're gonna move toward more like critical thinking is gonna become much more like in demand than writing code. And that is, I just don't see that like going away because the human brain is completely different. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
When you say critical thinking, does that refer to like system design, or like what do you mean specifically?
So so system, like we can get into system design also because that's another thing. But critical thinking is more like, okay. So there was an example that I saw, and I tried this in Gemini, and I did a better job than ChatGPT. But I asked this question because I saw it come up on my LinkedIn feed. Something along the lines of, okay, I need to go get gas for my car, but the gas station is only like, I don't know, like a minute walk. Is it easier for me to just walk, or should I take my car? And obviously you should take your car because you're trying to get gas in your car. But ChatGPT said that, like I see how it makes sense why you would want to walk, and it is only takes this long to walk, whereas driving, you'd have to get in the car, you'd have to turn on the engine, blah, blah, blah. So yeah, you should walk. And it's just like,
It's tailored to you.
yeah, well, it's yeah, well, there's that.
Yeah.
And then also this like critical thinking is like putting a number of decisions together that will produce an outcome and the right outcome. Whereas in this example, it couldn't put together that you need your car to get gas, and it was just missing the whole point. And this is like an area that is getting a lot of attention from researchers right now because it's more on the ability to reason, and I think there hasn't really been a good definition of like what does reasoning mean and all of that, and so now there's a more focus on that because LLMs seem like they're reasoning when they're not. But to answer your question, that's kind of the example of what I mean when I'm talking about critical thinking. The other thing is, yes, system design. So system design is like, okay, you can write code, but like that's one little piece of an overall system. When you're actually trying to deploy products or whatever, you have like the client, which is like your phones or your desktop applications. You have API gateways to like get to those services. You have servers. You have ways to scale those servers. You have different kinds of servers. I mean, there's just like so much. And AI can build code, but this is also the human element, like being able to plug all of these pieces together to make something coherent and actually ship a product is not something LLMs have, because they need so much more context. And right now we still have context limits on I don't know, do you guys know what context limits are? Like the number of tokens? Okay, so like an LLM, like can put in maybe 100,000 tokens, and it can produce like 300,000 tokens. But say we have like 500,000 words, then it no longer can function because it's maxed out. It can't handle that many words, I guess. So there's constraints on that too. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Yeah. Anything else?
What do you think are some like in-demand skills for people in the industry, like either right now or maybe like in 5 years?
So what kind of roles are you guys in? Because I feel like I don't know my audience at all. Are you guys, we got business, we got cybersecurity. Oh, nice.
I'm
Okay.
doing IT with concentration.
Okay. Good. Nice. And you?
Data analytics engineer.
Oh, okay. Okay. Great. What?
Science.
Computer science? Okay, great. That was what I thought my audience. You were my audience.
Yeah, same.
Okay.
Computer engineering.
Computer engineering. Okay, great.
Okay, computer science.
Computer. Okay. Oh, okay. Nice. And you?
Computer engineering.
Okay. Now I have a better idea. Like I think so in like software development, data science, that would those would kind of relate. So what was the question again? Sorry. What are the
Just
skills?
like any like in-demand skills that you think might be useful once we would enter industry, or to even like get us in industry.
Well, I feel like I kind of answered this a little bit, but like it would be, again, the critical thinking. So what I mean, when I know that, like, if we have an assignment and we find, whatever resources, and we use ChatGPT to like write our paper. I mean, that's just, at the end of the day, that's how it is these days, which is totally fine. I think we have to use the resources so we can produce faster, whatever. But what I consciously don't do that sometimes. Like if I'm writing an email and it's just easier to have AI do it, I don't. I will use my own words, because I think that is, one, helps wire your brain to like hit different neurons, so you're exercising that. But then also you're trying yourself to like fill in certain gaps that you're trying to write in this email, for example. That is the human element to things, and I think really that's what is gonna continue to be needed, like as we progress. And I know that doesn't like translate well, like when you're in an interview, like nobody's testing you on that. But I do think it's gonna be a lost skill that we don't have. So I think it's something important that we should exercise, because we don't want to become like, we don't want to get to a point where there's these complex problems that we are trying to solve, and we just don't have the ability to like triangulate things together to produce optimal solutions in whatever space that we're in. Yeah.
So it's like finding a balance between like your own thinking, your own work, and then being dependent on AI.
Yeah, yeah. I would say that's like my general thing, but like if we're trying to get jobs, then I would say like get up to speed on like Cursor, get up to speed on how to use AI like very efficiently, because people are going to want you to write code fast, and they're going to want you to write code really well. And that would, I think that is like the near term thing. And kind of on the cyber track, maybe, I like, cyber is a little bit more difficult, but when it comes to like anomaly detection, I think that's like a great place for it. Get in the habit of, when you write code, that you're like logging errors just through like a simple logger. And when you are, when the code isn't working, you have the LLM look at the logs so it can quickly come up with a solution or identify what the problem was. These are like little different ways to use it, and like I think every couple months there's like a new way to use AI, and I would say focus on that also, because when you get to like a coding round or something, I like for us we don't mind people using AI in the coding round because that we want to see how well they use those tools. So yeah.
So you're talking about like how important it is to be efficient about using AI. Do you think that would apply to most like other majors like business, especially people like me or other people in this room, who aren't specifically like computer science sort of thing?
So,
do you think?
sorry, what was the
So
for
the
those
question-
fields? Yeah.
So my question is that do you think learning AI efficiently is important for almost all majors, or is it just some specific fields you need to really lock in?
That's a good question. I would say all like a majority of fields would need to learn how to use AI, not like in terms of coding, but you'll you move faster when you use AI and with like using it well. Like for example, in business, I would think you have a bunch of documents that you have to read. You have to probably do like write requirements of some kind. You have to extract important pieces from different things. You don't need to build code or anything like that, but you can use AI to do that for you. I don't know if you guys heard of Notebook LLM. That's
Yeah, Google
that would
product.
it's a great tool to help you parse through things, because it does do some of that extraction for you, but then you can ask questions that are more focused, and it gives you the results based on all those specific documents rather than it reduces the amount of hallucination it does. So yeah, I would say for most fields, like I mean, like a plumber, no, they don't need it. I mean, they could optimize their scheduling probably, but the yes.
There have actually been a couple articles about how much plumbers are actually using it.
Oh, tell me more about it.
It just takes images of stuff, tells them how to do it, the diagnosis, and they can go through it.
Okay, yeah, I can see that. Yeah, that's good.
But trades are actually using it quite a lot.
Okay, well then everyone's got to use it. Yes.
What would you say is your most interesting project that you've ever been a part of? Not classified.
Most interesting. One of the prep questions had this, and I just really, I don't know. I don't
What would be
know.
the most challenging?
Challenging would be probably the ones that I'm doing right now, just because there's there's a lot of pressure to build out AI products and to use them in a way that's that the customer actually will find it useful, but it's hard because we are just kind of like we speak with the customers to try to figure out how they want to use it, but I don't think anybody knows yet. So you kind of have to build something, like ask them like, is this what you're looking for? And it's like, no, it's not. And then you go back and then you kind of do that over and over again. So that's been like a little bit, that's been a challenge, I'd say. Yeah.
Do you guys have clients in the aviation industry, like you guys, for example, with FAA or maybe space ops?
In this company, no, but in prior companies, I have. But so yeah. But for like where I work right now, it's more like commercial, so less on the federal side. Yes.
What do you think your biggest accomplishment to date is, or what are you working towards to accomplish? Like, what would give you like, oh my God, I did this?
Oh, okay, yeah, that's a good question. I think we work in large teams. We have a lot of different people, personalities, skill sets, and in like we go on projects and we start out knowing nothing, trying to ramp up, and then there's like this like as you get closer to delivery, like where you're actually going to deploy the product, you go into this rhythm where everyone's kind of like working in sync, and it's just I don't know why, but I love it because it's just like we're just knocking things out.
Everyone's locked in.
Yeah, everyone is locked in toward the end. They're like very focused on like, gotta make this delivery. So yeah.
Thank
Thanks.
you.
Yes.
So you actually, I've seen your profile on LinkedIn. You did advising at CGI and a lot of like AI related roles. So I was wondering, you probably have a more researched opinion. What do you think AI is going to look like in 5 to 10 years? And like, do you think there'll be a point where AI will be actually like what Sam Altman claims, it's going to be able to like understand itself and adapt itself up, like, change and all that, because AI is kind of stagnant. Like you just have an LLM, but it's not necessarily changing itself at the core. So unless a human person adds to it or something.
Yeah, I think I think there is a little bit of this now, but it's not as prevalent. But there are ways that you can. So this goes on the agentic. Like we're in different waves. We're in the agentic wave right now, and it's kind of hard to tell like what wave what waves are going to happen next. But yes, you can set up these agents in a way where it will write code, or it will do it doesn't have to write code. It could do something and then it'll have a self-reflection of like, did I do this right? Did I not? Or something. So you can build it out in that way to mimic self-reflection. And I think that will become more prevalent as we move, in 5 years. I don't know, maybe probably less, but I could see that for sure. Yeah, that's happening now, but just not as much. Yeah.
And follow up to that, since it's able to do almost a role of somebody who's doing a job, essentially, like reflecting and learning. Do you think there'll be a point where, even like CS major, like students, like people will have this hard time to even get a job because AI has gotten so smart, they just simply have to sign, hey, most companies will be like, hey, this is efficient. I don't have to pay for work, vacation days, it just works 24/7. What do you think? Do you think there will be a mass amount of unemployment where there will be, the AIs will be doing their own thing and all that? Or do you see like a more of a symbiotic relationship 5 to 10 years? Just curious.
I think it will be more symbiotic, like you said. I think it's, I think, I don't know how to say this, but like one, it plateaus for one, okay, and then we don't have like unlimited energy to like to train these models to even be. I mean, we are going to train them to be bigger and bigger, but then it's like to what end? And then Elon's thinking to have like servers in space, and it's just like is that like for what though? Like I don't know. It's so. I don't know. I think it's gonna like kind of hit a wall. If you look at AI or this AI technology through decades, you'll find waves of this. So this is very typical. We're like in the height of this wave, and then there's like it'll like go back down. But I think for us in these fields, it's going to be a shift of the technologies we use to actually build the software. So I think right now the industry is figuring it out, but a lot of companies that did mass layoffs on this are hiring back because it's not proving to be what they thought it was. It's not producing the results as well as they were hoping it would be.
Well, to follow up on that, what if there's a time where the AI has become so good that isn't needed, right? Like those problems that occurred when you had all those people laid off. What if what happens if those problems are actually solved by the AI and able to develop it, and then there's no risk to like, okay, well.
I think I mean, it's kind of hypothetical. Like it's hard to like we can.
She's an advisor. You know, you actually have a general idea.
Yeah.
So you,
Yeah, I do think that again, like LLMs at the end of the day are just probability machines. It's outputting the next probable token. It's not anything all of that. I mean, it does. It is. I mean, it's an amazing thing that's come out, and I think it's changed like how we do things on a daily basis, how we just do things at work. But it really doesn't have that, again, that critical thinking skill. Like even if you look at Harvard and MIT, they're starting to have classes on critical thinking specifically because this is the thing that these AI technologies don't have, and so that's why I'm stressing it so much. You like even take AI out of it on just like if you have a customer and you're trying to build something for them, most of the time they don't know what they want, and then you have to figure it out by talking to them, and then you just have this like back and forth. And so even if we have AI writing the code for us, we still need this like human interaction to be able to really understand the problem set. And I hope that AI doesn't take that, but I'm optimistic. Yeah. Anything else? Yes.
What do you think? What do you think about the I guess state of the field of AI outside of LLMs? Like, I guess people are still into probably self-driving or image recognition. You know, like, do you think that's still growing? Because it feels like LLMs are like people are like, well, this is cool technology. How can we turn it into a product? And it's like, oh, okay, whatever. But like, there's still all these classical algorithms that are still useful.
Oh yeah.
So like, what's going on there?
Not much, I think. There's been a huge research focus on LLMs because like it's textual and now like also it's multimodal. Like you can do it does image recognition so much better, image generation, which, you know, is a new thing. I think, I think whoever is focused on these kinds of research, I think there's going to be new architectures that come out. So large language models have their specific kind of architecture of how they are trained. I think there's going to be new architectures that come out that will, what I'm sure they hope is going to build on that and be better. But I'll say that yes, to your point, like the different computer vision models, all of these much smaller models that we were using before large language models are still great and should still be used because they are significantly cheaper. They can run on just our machines, our personal machines. We don't need sophisticated hardware for them. So I really think when we are using LLMs, we want to think about like, do we need it? Can we use something else instead? That's always, a thing to think about. Yes.
You mentioned visual integration into LLM, which models are proving effective. Because I don't know. Like it's getting better, but what's under the hood?
For which one?
Image recognition integrated with the LLMs. You mentioned that as a avenue to which LLMs are expanding and growing in application.
Yes. I'm not a computer vision person. I stick usually with textual models, but the multimodal models that are out there, like, I don't know, Gemini has their multimodal, I don't remember what it's called, but it can basically, they train on images to generate images. So
Is that LLM or is that another tool?
It's an expansion to LLM. Now when we say LLM, we are assuming that it's text and image, both, because we can basically take the pixels and turn them into numerical values and then train them the same way as
Just the
text.
same under the hood.
Yeah, for the multimodal ones. Multimodal meaning, text or image generation.
The LLMs, they like kind of are just generating the next token based on the previous token for the prompt.
Yeah.
But I think they just take the same thing, but they also say, also look at this image and then try to predict based on that.
Yeah.
So I
I
think
Yeah.
that's
gonna
what
ask you,
makes
so
it-
Yeah.
LLMs look at word sequence and consonants and they chunk that data. But when you process an image, you're looking at, there's different ways of doing it. You could do the color scheme or you could do the vectors on each line. And I was curious because it's the next thing I'm looking into.
I don't know, but I would assume that they are taking it at a pixel level. They're turning it into a vector, and then they're training based on that vector. So like large language models are trained on certain vectors, and so I would think. I mean, I think it's similar, but I don't know for sure. To be honest, but that's my assumption. Yeah. Anything else?
It is 5 o'clock, so if there's any last minute questions.
Yes.
I got one.
Yeah.
So you've had a lot of senior director roles, especially at CGI, a lot of the military firms. So I was wondering what kind of things did you have to do, in terms of experience, skills, certifications, roles you kind of had to do to build up to that? And how did you become that go-to person for AI,
So one of the things that really helped was learning about learning how to build in the cloud, because it helps you build it to scale. It helps you think about things or systems in a more scalable way. I think that was one big thing that helped me, and it's not really AI necessarily, but AWS is my bread and butter. So they have services, and then they have now new AI services that are built on their previous, services, and you can build very quickly. AWS has something called Bedrock, so you can, and so you can build models, you can build agents that way. They have underlying vector databases that I would say that was something that was definitely important in that, going in that direction.
Just to follow up with that, I'm not one guy with the detailed questions. So, you being in these roles, you've had to make that advising decision about what to go forward in a company or a project. What would you say is I know you can't disclose anything confidential, but what would you say is the hardest challenge you faced? Maybe a brief understanding and how you solved it. Yeah. Or advised it.
Okay. Well, so what was the question again? Sorry.
I know. I was my question is, to follow up, is what is the hardest challenge you have had to face, especially an advisory role? You're having to say, this is what I think about this project or this thing or that. What would you say is the hardest challenge?
Okay.
And how did you solve it? And especially talking about critical thinking, break down a time when that happened, because I'd like to know your senior level role, you're having that serious pressure, you have to deliver. So I'd love to know.
Yeah. So I think what's important is to listen. This is so simple, but really listen to what the customer is asking and not what you think they're asking. I mean, really, that's the biggest thing. But then after that, I think learning, having the knowledge of different technologies, being very well versed in different technologies. For me, it was knowing very well the services in AWS to build more custom or tailored solutions for the client. And then not only so that's more systems architect kind of role, but then also being able to build it, like even if it's like just a demo, just to like show them the art of the possible. That was really good because that kind of like gives you some, street cred. It's like, oh, okay, you kind of know what I'm talking about, and then you actually build it out for production. That's kind of been like, I think that kind of model has been very successful for me.
Luckily,
You
there's no
good?
follow-up.
Okay, we are like over time, but thank you so much for coming. Can we give a round of applause?
Wait, can I get one group photo? All right, bet. Okay.
Guys.